want to thank everyone listening and watching, because we know that you're taking time out of your day to participate and to be part of this show and this family. And maybe you're making a major effort to listen every day, putting your life aside and doing things that, you're rather ignoring things that maybe you should be focusing on to be here with us. We want to thank Joe Thomas for doing the same, because he could be sitting on a lake right now in Wisconsin. Instead, the Hall of Famer has gone planes, trains, and automobiles to set up this amazing Jack Hanna-like shot somewhere in Wisconsin. He sought out better Wi-Fi, and he joins us now on the Rich Eisen Show. Where in the heck are you, my friend? And thank you.
Well, thanks for having me on, Andrew. I'd do anything for you, buddy. So I'm in Manitowish waters up in northern Wisconsin. As you can see, it's God's country, but the term better Wi-Fi is just relative, because better up here still means it's about the speed of the dial-up that you had when you were doing AOL online as a kid.
The shot's amazing. Is that like an inlet? What is that a creek? What is that?
Yeah, so we got a little creek, little bay right here. There's a cool little coffee shop in town called Dixie's that actually has some Wi-Fi that's reasonable enough, at least for a phone call and a Zoom. And it's got this beautiful little bay behind me. And I brought my rod, so after this, I'm going to be casting for muskies a little bit. So make sure it's not too long. Can't cut into my muskie time.
This is the first time anyone has ever been on and said, hey, I have to hurry up and get to casting for muskies. Are muskies like little ones? How big are they?
No, muskies are big. That's like one of our biggest freshwater fish we have here, 50, 60 pounds they get up to. And it's kind of what made the Northwoods of Wisconsin famous. So they're predators, man. They're out there trying to eat all the little bass and bluegills and hopefully my bait a little bit later.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at pictures. They have some teeth too, Joe.
Oh, yeah, like a barracuda. They're kind of like a freshwater barracuda. They're a lot of fun.
Shows you how much I know about fishing. And then would you actually like clean those fish, fillet those fish, and throw them on the grill tonight? No?
No. The muskies just kind of catch and release, right? The joy of muskie is the challenge and the fight and things like that. You're usually catching walleye and bluegill, something a little bit smaller, a little bit more plentiful if you're putting it on the table. I did have some good walleye last night with some tartar sauce and some delicious spicy coleslaw. It was the perfect northern Wisconsin meal with cheese curds on the side. It was amazing.
See, I don't know if I want the cheese curds. Like good Wisconsin beer, yes. The cheese curd thing, Joe, I will never forget the first time I was in Wisconsin. I was a young man. I was working in Chicago. I had to go up to Wisconsin. And first of all your roads are screwed up with your state roads. It's like State Route D and State Route F, and they're not in order. You would think that like it goes D and E and F and G if you're heading up the highway. But no, it'll be like you go from B to L and then O and then back to G. It makes no sense whatsoever. That was one thing that stood out to me. The other thing was every sign for every restaurant is advertising only one thing, and that's cheese curds.
We got a lot of cheese here. I don't know if you noticed, but we're the dairy state. And if you don't like cheese curds, you probably just haven't had the right one. So when I see you here in a couple of weeks, Andrew, I'm going to have to bring you some real Wisconsin cheese curds and change your mind.
The great Joe Thomas, everyone, joining us from Wisconsin. Let's get to the football. I will see you in a couple of weeks in Cleveland when the Browns head down yet another path towards greatness, and we'll figure out the quarterback eventually. We'll get to that later. Let's just talk the other quarterback down the street, like 2.5 hours away in Pittsburgh, because the Browns do have to go there Week 6 to face Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, assuming it is still Aaron Rodgers. They are boom or bust, like, I think more so than any team we've ever seen. This reminds me of like the Daniel Snyder Redskins teams back in the day when it's like, we're going to sign any and everything that isn't nailed down and we're going to win this year. Do you think, Joe, it actually works?
There's not many quarterbacks that have had a bad year after coming off of an injury as they get really old, and their third or fourth teams that have really found great success. At least that's what I'm telling myself here with the Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously our big rival in Cleveland. But I think really the big question is, can they get locker room buy-in around him, right? Like, because earlier on in his career, and then even when he went to the Jets, there was a lot of hoopla, and it was easy for the veterans and the players and the team to just buy all in, think, hey, man, this was our lottery ticket. This was our missing piece. He's going to be the guy taking us to a championship. But I think that aura around him is kind of gone at this point. And so he really needs to kind of humble himself a little bit, I think, and find a way to get the rest of the locker room to buy in to what he's selling and to believe that, yes, he can be the Aaron Rodgers of old. And until he does that, really, I think they're going to be a little bit lukewarm on his presence, right? Because it's going to be disruptive. It's going to be a media circus when you bring Aaron Rodgers anywhere he's going to be. And of course, he's going to do his shows and say controversial things. And players don't really love that unless you're producing on the field. So it would really be interesting to see what he does and how he changes in little ways just to make himself maybe more available, more approachable to his teammates, and to try to get them to buy in and really believe in, what he's doing on the field, that he can be the guy that can lead him to a Super Bowl.
I was saying before that worst case scenario for them, that is if they're just 9-8 and they're one and done again. Because then what have you spent all this money for? Like what have you paid DK for, and what have you paid TJ for, and what have you done the Jalen Ramsey trade for? If you're just going to get the same result. And I don't know that a lot of people, Joe, like you said, are bullish that they are going to all of a sudden, especially with, the way the AFC North lines up this year. This AFC North plays NFC North. I mean, it is not an easy schedule for any team in that division. If they're just 9-8 and they're one and done, then what did we do this for? And then next year, you're looking at picking 20th or 21st again, and you're not going to go find your quarterback of the future. So, we spent a lot of money, but to quote Ricky Waters, for who, for what? I don't blame them for trying, though.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do it, right? You got to have somebody at that quarterback position. They feel like the team that can win now. But it is interesting because Aaron Rodgers is now in Arthur Smith's offensive system, which is more of a run-heavy system, right? It's the system that Kyle Shanahan has kind of spawned throughout the NFL, where you're leaning on the run game a little bit more. It's less about matchups, which is what Aaron Rodgers has loved throughout his career. That's what he did with Mike McCarthy in Green Bay all those years. And that's what he was trying to do in different places that he went after with the Jets, and now here with the Steelers, is try to find, okay, who's my best matchup, and then let my arm win. The Arthur Smith system is much more of a, hey, take the plays that are there within the flow of the game, within the system. We're going to lean on the run game. We're going to find you your shot plays. And certainly Aaron Rodgers has the capabilities to do that, but does he have the patience to do that? And is he willing to listen to Arthur Smith and run his system and not try to overimpose too much of what he would like to see with this system? Because like you said, it's kind of a one and done, and it's a win now. You got to make it work with this 1-year contract that Aaron Rodgers signed. And so it's not like they have all this time to be able to figure each other out and kind of blend the two systems together. They got to hit the ground running in day one. And there's a lot of extra pressure right now. I mean, outside of Pittsburgh, everyone thinks it's crazy to consider Mike Tomlin on the hot seat because he's one of the greatest coaches the NFL has ever seen, and he's never had a losing season. But the people in Pittsburgh are getting restless. They want to see championships. That's what they're used to. Pittsburgh hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. And then now you make these signings, like you mentioned, you bring it in DK Metcalf, Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, Aaron Rodgers, you re-sign TJ Watt. It's like, hey, pressure's on. Everybody in the front office thinks this is a team that can win the Super Bowl. And now it's up to the coaching staff to be able to do it. And so when you ramp up that pressure, you bring in a bunch of new faces. There's a lot of pressure for them, not only throughout the whole season to have success, but early on to show those dividends right away and kind of give fans and the front office a little bit of a preview of, hey, this is the trajectory we are on. We can see and convince ourselves of the path we can take to go win a championship. Because if it's a little bit sideways and they're having a hard time with their cohesion and getting on the same page and figuring out, what Arthur Smith system version they want to run with Aaron Rodgers, it'll be interesting to watch what that pressure cooker looks like and how those different personalities mesh, because it's easy for everybody to get along when you're winning, but when times are tough and you're under that microscope and you're getting heat from the fans, like, it's pretty easy for those guys to splinter, because it's not like these guys are lifetime Pittsburgh Steeler guys that know how to handle adversity together. I mean, it's pretty easy for guys that are sort of mercenaries, just come in there. If it does not working well, all of a sudden they're pointing the fingers and it gets pretty ugly.
Yeah, and it could get ugly, and you're going to see a million sideline shots of Arthur Smith and Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers, and you're going to be trying to figure out, hey, did Aaron just check out of that, and trying to read Arthur Smith's facial expressions. Buckle up. I'm here for it, though. Joe Thomas, the Hall of Famer, joining us on the Rich Eisen Show. Real quick on the Browns. I would say right now, and I'm not trying to do bulletin board stuff, that if Joe Flacco starts week 1, Browns play the Bengals at home week 1. We know how the Bengals start. We know how, other than last year and maybe the year before that, the Browns have had the Bengals number, especially in Cleveland. I'll tell you right now, if Joe Flacco starts, I am confident, Quinshine or no Quinshine, the Browns are going to win that game. My question is, Joe, and I'm not saying just throw the kids in because the first 6 weeks are brutal on the schedule. But, like, is that sustainable? And is it, if you're looking long term, and you have to, is it the best thing for the team to say, Joe Flacco, this is your team, and just go? I mean, at one point, if you're drafting 2 rookie quarterbacks, you have to see what one or both of them can do, right?
Yeah, I've been in that situation quite a few times during my career where you've got a veteran quarterback who you feel pretty comfortable with, at least being able to manage the team and get you guys into the right plays, throw the ball to the right receiver. And certainly Flacco, I think, is that and more. And I think he can win a lot of games for the Browns. But I think the best strategy is you give him the keys and say, hey, this is your team, Joe. And you don't ever look back. You don't ever look in any other direction. But obviously, as the season goes along, you're evaluating every throw he makes. And you're also watching the young guys in practice. And you're trying to figure out how ready can they be. And then depending on how the team is playing, how everybody's meshing, how these young receivers are coming along, because I think they got one of the better receiving groups that we've seen in Cleveland in a while. Obviously, Jerry Jeudy had a little bit of a breakout year last year. Cedric Tillman's playing better. You got Deontay Johnson this year. David Njoku still there at tight end. So you got some good pass catchers, some good weapons. They're going to lean, I think, a little bit more on the run game, no matter what happens with Quinshon Judkins. And so this is a team on offense that has a lot of good young players, and it's a matter of how are they meshing? How are they playing? Are they able to produce points and numbers? And if they do hit a little bit of a skid and maybe they're starting to be on the outside looking into the playoff hunt, it's going to be, I think, really important for the future for next year to start saying, okay, we need to play one of these young quarterbacks because, as you know, being a Browns fan like me, when they traded out of that pick in the second pick and they traded back and they picked up a first-round pick next year, that was so that they have flexibility in the 2026 draft to be able to go up and grab a quarterback of the future, a high first-round draft pick to be the future guy if one of these young guys, whether it be Kenny Pickett or Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders, doesn't become a standout where you say, yep, we found our franchise guy. We didn't have to waste a first-round pick. Now we build around them. And so it's really important to know how good these young players, whoever is going to be the best of them, perform down the stretch to see what type of potential they have and if they can be that long-term answer at quarterback. So you really have to answer that question at quarterback at some point this year. But I don't think you ever want anybody to feel like they have to look over their shoulder from Joe Flacco's perspective. He knows, he's been in the game long enough. He knows these guys are breathing down his neck, and the team is going to look to make that change to find out what they got in Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel and maybe even Kenny Pickett. So you don't have to tell them that. You just want to make sure that nobody on the offense, especially the pass catchers, are wondering and waiting like, all right, when's the next guy coming in, right? You want to get the most out of them, and you want them just focus on what's right in front of them in that moment. Who's my quarterback right now? And then if you need to make the switch, you do it under the cover of darkness, and you walk in one day and you say, hey, Shedeur Sanders is our quarterback going forward. That's the way it is. Let's move on. Just like Belichick, hey, we're moving on to Cincinnati. This is what we got, and this is who we're moving forward with. Because, like you said, you got to find out about those young guys because of that extra first-round pick that you do have in 2026.
Yeah, organizationally, if you take Dylan Gabriel at 94 and then at 144, so 50 picks later, Shedeur Sanders, you need to know what you have at one point. The question is when is that point? And look, maybe with Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett, either veteran, that you are 2-4 after the first 6. I don't think that's going to happen, but the first 6 games are brutal. And we had it up on the screen before. You got Cincinnati at home. That's fine. You're at Baltimore week 2. I'd rather be at Baltimore week 2 than, say, week 18 last year. That game was just worthless, and it was 5 degrees, and, it could have ended at halftime. It would have been great if it did. But week 3, then you get Green Bay at home, and then you go to Detroit, and then you go to London to face a rested Vikings team, and then you come back to face a Steelers team that is coming off a bye because they had been in Ireland 2 weeks earlier. Those first 6 are awful. But Joe Flacco does throw the prettiest pass. And like, we know that. Like, Joe Flacco could be 50 years old and off his couch again, and his kids could be in college at that point, and he can walk into an NFL training camp and still throw the prettiest ball. But again, like, if he is the guy, for how long is he truly the guy? I want to go real quick through some of these quarterback things here around the league. We did Rodgers, we did the Browns. The other two, I guess if you want to say battles, I don't think it's a battle in New Orleans. I think Tyler Shuck gets the job. It's the Giants with Jameis Russell and Jackson Dart. But to me, Joe, the most interesting one is, and I don't think you had Colts quarterback conversation on your dance card when you tried to find good Wi-Fi today, but let's do it. Like, if Daniel Jones gets that job, let's just say he wins the job, hypothetically. Have you seen enough of Anthony Richardson where if you're one of the other 31, you call up the Colts and say, hey, can I take him off your hands?
I think he definitely still has enough potential, and he's a good enough athlete. And I don't think the book has been written on him just yet, because there's a team out there that's going to look at him and say, hey, we think he fits a little bit better in the system we're trying to run. You know, maybe you're going to feature his legs a little bit more and give him an opportunity to kind of work his way into the system that you're running, because there's plenty of teams that don't have that answer at quarterback right now. And he could be a good interim. I mean, if the Browns had an opportunity to have him this offseason in the room, I'm sure they would have added him, right? And have 6 guys or 5 guys in the room, depending on what are you considering Deshaun Watson on the team or not. But quarterback, it's the most important position in sports. You can never have enough of them. And when you got a guy like Anthony Richardson, who's got that crazy potential and just hasn't been able to tap it yet, has had some problems, undoubtedly, and he's recovering from shoulder surgery, but it's easy to take a flyer on a guy like that. But I don't know if the Colts will be ready to get rid of him, because I think we have seen enough Daniel Jones to know that he's probably not the long-term answer there in Indianapolis. And so really for Anthony Richardson, they may be a little bit down on him right now, but I don't think they're completely out on him. And I think they do want to give him another chance, because you've invested a lot when you pick a guy in the first round. And so I think they still want to make it work if it's possible, even though it's doubtful. So I think they're much more thinking that Daniel Jones is just that stopgap, and Anthony Richardson might get another opportunity at some point this season to get some playing time, no matter what happens with Daniel Jones, because I think they do want to really just give him one more chance before they kind of close the book on his Indianapolis Colts career.
They have great steakhouses in Indianapolis, so let's get to the beef here. Can we see the Joe Thomas shirt there on his lapel?
Yeah, look at this.
It says Hall of Fame beef. So you're a hunter, you're an outdoorsman. You had the big turkey hunting weekend back in May, I believe. I need to be part of that next time. And you're holding up, were those sausages? What are those? Beef? Okay, so you are in the beef business, yes. Joe. Tell us about the beef.
The beef business is going great, man. My farm, Six Springs Farms, we're raising some impeccable beef along the banks of the Blue River and the driftless area of Wisconsin. We've been raising different breeds of Angus, and I'm super excited because you just came from Japan.
Yeah.
The beef on planet Earth is Wagyu. We've been developing our Wagyu herd for a few years now. On August 1st, we're going to launch our very first Wagyu, and I cannot be more excited because I got a little preview this past week. I had some friends over to the farm, and we cooked some of that Wagyu steak. It was easily the best beef I've ever had in my entire life, and I can't wait to make it available here at the beginning of August to all of my friends at halloffamebeef.com, because it's going to absolutely blow you away. Did you get a chance to have any beautiful Wagyu steaks when you were in Japan?
I did not. I went all sushi and yakitori. I was going to make a side trip to Kobe, and I didn't have enough time. My next Wagyu is going to be from Hall of Fame beef.
Oh, and you will not be disappointed, because we're raising genetics, the Wagyu, that are direct descendants of those ones that are raised in Kobe, that have that amazing A5 marbling, the snow white spider webs. Their fat melts at a lower temperature, at mouth temperature, basically. So you put that steak in your mouth, it immediately starts melting like an M&M when you were a kid, or maybe still an adult eating some M&Ms. But it is such a different experience that people that haven't had full blood Wagyu yet, when they try it for the first time, they're going to say, I don't need any of that regular beef the rest of my life. This stuff is what I'm going with. It is so good, and I can't wait for us to experience it together. Maybe when we're on the road. Actually, Fahrenheit, they buy some of my stuff. So maybe when we're in Carolina together, we can get some of that Hall of Fame beef, full-blood Wagyu, and allow you to experience
I'm down.
the pinnacle of steak excellence.
I'm down. Fahrenheit, a restaurant in Cleveland, and the original in Charlotte as well. TJ, it's 10:40 in the morning here in LA. I could use a steak
my mouth
right
watering.
now.
Hey Joe, what's up? TJ here. Just wondering when you're getting this steak and these cheese curds. I was just wondering, is this what you wear when you happen to go out and get these things?
Yeah, look at that.
Because the last time I saw you, before you disappeared
Look
into a
at
Munich,
that.
Germany night, and I said, good talking to you, Joe Thomas. We took this picture, and I saw you walking down the street wearing this, and this was the last time I saw you. So I just wondered, is this what you wear to go get cheese curds?
That is the official look right there. And Lederhosen. That is official Lederhosen from Angermeyer Trachten store in Munich. They hooked me up when I moved there. It is some great stuff. It's super comfortable. The best thing is that's what farmers wear in Germany and southern Bavaria. And so I wear it here, of course. And you don't have to wash it, and you don't need underwear. It's the best outfit of all time. If I would have found it as a kid, that's all I would have worn. Because as a kid, you never want to wear underwear, you never want to shower, you never want to wash your clothes. And those things, they unlock the beauty of childhood, the dream of every little boy in the world.
You're the best, man. Joe Thomas, not on a lake, not on the same lake from 2007 in which he ignored the draft, but a lake nonetheless, a body of water nonetheless in Wisconsin. HallOfFameBeef.com. The Hall of Famer himself eating beef live on the TV. And we will see you shortly in a couple of weeks. Thank you, my friend.
Andrew.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.